There are two ways to learn any song. The first way is to learn a song by ear, which means that you listen to a song and you figure out the right notes on the piano. The second way is to read the sheet music. And both these methods are super important for any musician. If I were to give you this piece of paper and ask you to explain what you saw, all you'll tell me is that you see lines, random little circles and dots, and these little symbols that you have no idea what they mean. But this is what music looks like. I've said this so many times and I'll keep on saying it. Music is a language. Just like English has a written form, music has one too. And knowing how to read music will give you a thorough understanding of how it all works, and will give you the ability to learn songs instantly. So today we're going to learn how to read sheet music and decipher this mess. And once you have it figured out and it's explained to you correctly, you'll find that it's not really all that complicated and all you need is some practice. So let's get into it. This is a blank sheet of music. As you see, there are 10 lines and all the notes on this piano fall within those 10 lines. But before we actually learn the notes, we have to look at this symbol over here. This is the treble clef. That means that any note that falls within these 5 lines are going to be played in the right hand. The next symbol is the bass clef, which means that any note that falls in those 5 lines are going to be played with the left hand. So the first note we're going to learn today is the middle C, which is right over here. And this is how it looks like on the sheet music. The reason why this is called middle C, it's because it sort of splits the piano between the right hand and the left hand. All the notes that are going up middle C will be played with the right hand. All the notes going down from middle C will be played with the left hand. So let's learn the first few notes in the right hand. So we know that C is over here. The next note is D, which is under the first line. The next note is E, which is in the first line. F, which is in the first space. G in the second line. A in the second space. B in the third line. And C in the third space. Now, there aren't really any good tricks to memorize these notes. You simply have to put in the work and memorize where each note is on the sheet music. You have to know where E is. E is on the first line, A is in the second space, C is on the third space, B is on the third line. And by knowing that, you know how to read sheet music very, very, very well. Just think about it. If you were to read a book, you don't have to think about what letters A and D make up, right? You know that it's the word and. If you had to think about it, the process of reading would be so frustrating. Many teachers use these mnemonics like every good boy does fine, but I find that people use it as a crutch instead of a tool. If I were to ask some of those students where D is, they'd have to think about, okay, every good boy does. Oh, that's a D. And again, you don't want to read music like that. You don't want to read a book like that. So later on in this video, I'm going to go over a method that I use with my students to memorize these notes and know them like reading English. Now let's learn the notes in the left hand. We're starting from C, but instead of going up, we're going down. So the next note after C is not going to be D. We're going down, so it's going to be B. And B is on top of the last line. The next note is going to be A, which is in the last line, in the 5th line. The next note is G, which is in the 4th space. F, which is in the 4th line. E in the 3rd space. D in the 3rd line. And C in the 2nd space. As you know, there are many C's on the piano, many A's, D's, G's. And the notes that we're learning are in a very specific spot on the piano. They all fall within this octave range, from the right hand C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then the left hand C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. As a beginner, I would only focus on these few notes. Learning more will just get really confusing, and we'll just keep those notes for another video. Right now, just focus on these notes because it's going to be a solid foundation to any song that you're ever going to learn. So I have a method that I use for all my students to memorize these notes, and it's by memorizing things in chunks. I would focus on the first 5 notes in the right hand, which are C, D, E, F, and G. And in the left hand, I would focus on C, B, A, and G. There's a book that I use with all my students that literally only focuses on those few notes. I'm going to link that book in the description below. Make sure to buy it and learn those songs, because once you learn every single song in that book, you'll have those notes memorized really, really well. After you have those notes memorized, go on to the next notes. Memorize A, B, and C in the right hand. In the left hand, you memorize F, E, D, and C. In the description, there's also a link to a worksheet that will look something like this. I want to show you how you should use the worksheet and practice those few notes. So this is how the worksheet would look. There are notes in the right hand, notes in the left hand, and I'm going to play the first notes in the right hand, and I'm going to say those notes out loud as I play. C, G, E, F, C, C, G, F. So we learned a lot today, But there is one more aspect to reading sheet music that is super important for any musician to know, and that's rhythm. Piano isn't just about playing the notes, it's about playing at the right times and playing smoothly, playing nicely. So in the next video, we're gonna cover how rhythm is written down in the sheet music. So stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one.